will generate some good income and earnings for everybody that is interested in joining or has been part of this sector or industry. We're talking about agriculture today. And our topic today is harnessing agricultural resources for increased production. Harnessing agricultural resources for increased production is the topic that we're going to discuss today with the people in the studios and you who is part of this edition of Ground Zero. I mean those of you who are on radio and those who are on who are online, our online audience. Because we are streaming live on YouTube. You just type in UBC Ground Zero and you'll be part of this edition. In the studios of UBC today, I'm privileged to have Stella Akwede Tasma, is the expert in rabbit rearing, and I also have Engineer Birungi Julius, is the operations director, Maniget Farms Limited. It is always interesting having you at UBC, and we're going to have another guest who is going to be joining us later on. But as they always say, ladies first, let me have Tasma greet our dear listener. Tasma.
Good morning, viewers. My name is Mrs. Stella Okwadi. I'm a co-founder of Tasma Organic Fertilizer.
Interesting. Engineer Julius.
Thank you so much, dear listeners. Julius Birungi is my name, and I support the operations department at Menit Farms, or Me Farms for short.
Menit.
Yes, it is Menit Farms.
Is that name coming from here in Uganda?
That name is a Dutch word that means word. Crowd.
Crowd.
Yeah.
Menit.
Menit.
I was reading it as Menigate. Menit. Interesting that we're also learning Dutch this morning. It is interesting that you have created time to be part of UBC and to inspire and educate the people of Uganda to be a part of agriculture, which they say contributes to a big percent to our GDP. We must be reminded that Uganda produces a wide range of agriculture products for both domestic and commercial purposes. And this makes agriculture as a sector to be the major source of livelihood in Uganda. This reminds me of the survey which was done by some time back by Uganda National Household Survey of 2016 and 2017, that the bigger proportion of working population in Uganda is engaged in agriculture, forestry, fishing, making about 65%, with more having many women, by the way, making 75% as against males who are 58%. Females have been challenging us. They're everywhere and they always have passion for everything. And I'm glad that they're also part of agriculture, making 70% contribution. And we must be glad that agriculture, the same agriculture, in the same survey, increased the tune of our GDP to 24.9%, which I believe that most of us depend on agriculture, not only in Uganda, by the way, but also the people in the region of East Africa have so much depended on agricultural products coming from Uganda. We have more often had the people of Kenya feed on our products, but I'm also glad that we're also feeding from the region. We some time back had rice come from Tanzania, and we're going to see why, which is considered to be the basket of food. Uganda is known as a basket of food, but our people in Kasese, our people in Karamoja are dying of hunger. To me, that must be treated with immediate effect, and also I feel it is a shame why they think we have food and the next day in the news they see that our people are dying of hunger. Having you, lady and a gentleman, come from different enterprises that are within this very sector, what comes into our mind? Starting with you, Tasma, how do you understand agriculture? Maybe how I understand it is far different from how you perceive it. Tasma?
Just like you have said, agriculture is supposed to be the backbone of Uganda. Without agriculture, I would say not very many things would go forward. So agriculture is the backbone and everything we are getting from agriculture. So when we talk of agriculture, of course we have animal husbandry, we have plant, to mention a few. So for me now, I'll not talk much about agriculture because for me I'm on animals and I'm specialized mostly in rabbit keeping.
Interesting. I now know that you understand agriculture to be more of the animals. Julius, engineer, how do you perceive agriculture in as far as Uganda is concerned?
Thank you.
Why should it be our concern?
Thank you so much. On a daily basis, each one of us at least will need to eat something. You'll get hungry at some point. And of course, rightly so, as you said, agriculture is the backbone of Uganda's economy. Looking at the figures, of course, employing about 70% of the population and contributing to half of Uganda's export earnings and a quarter of Uganda's gross domestic product is from this agriculture economy. So what we are talking about here is something that has to increase and improve our livelihoods as Ugandans, and these figures here must manifest in the pockets and as you say, in the areas that the local person, the smallholder farmer, is situated. Thank you.
Most welcome. At least I know what it is all about that we're going to discuss and how effective or important agriculture is. Let me start with you, Tasma, again. Laboratory. To some Ugandans, this must be something new, and others have known rabbits, not have kept them as pets, and yet you're telling us that they're also important and you're benefiting from them. What is all about that industry of rabbitry?
Rabbitry, would say, is the art of taking care of rabbits. So most Ugandans take rabbits as pets. That's actually how I would say most of the people were taking rabbits to be. But as we talk now, most people have taken rabbitry as a business. Rabbitry is one of the businesses that can grow very fast, and you can start with a very small capital. Let's presume you just have your 200,000. You can buy 3 rabbits, 3 female rabbits and 1 male rabbit. Now these 3 female rabbits, on average, if you do what is necessary, you can have 7 young ones. So if you have 3 female rabbits having 7 young ones, so that means at a time you have 21 rabbits. So let's presume you brought your rabbits today, and these rabbits take 30 days when they are pregnant. So after 30 days, they are going to give birth. So when they give birth, the 3 of them, they are going to produce 3, each 7, that's 21, in average 20, and then breastfeed them for 30 days. After that, you remove the babies and let them get pregnant again. So they again they give birth. So that means after every 2 months, you will be having your 3 rabbits giving birth. And whenever they give birth, those are 20 rabbits. So every 2 months, you are getting 20 rabbits. Let's presume in a year, there are 12 months. So every 2 months, those are now 6. So if you multiply 20 by 6, those are 120 rabbits in 1 year. So you see that in 1 year you already have so many rabbits, and therefore you're going to benefit a lot from rabbits. And yet at the same time, rabbits are things whereby everything that comes out of a rabbit is beneficial. That means the meat itself is the best. Then we have the skin is useful. We have the droppings can work as a fertilizer. Then they have the rabbit urine, which we are using to make Tasma organic fertilizer, is the most unique and the best fertilizer in the land.
Interesting. Perhaps after here, I'm going to also to start a laboratory. Having laboratory at your home, I've heard so many people say that you cannot rear rabbits around people. What is the distance that is recommended for people who would love to engage in this business?
If we are going to do commercial rabbitry, we have to build cages, because rabbits are animals that also sometimes get the diseases of the chicken. So if you leave them just roaming around, they are going to come in contact with the chicken and they will get coccidiosis. So it's better you make for them cages and you put each rabbit in its cage. Then maybe the young ones, those ones which have been born together, can grow up together in one cage. But usually it's better to have cages for rabbits.
Okay. Is there any type, a specific type that you recommend Ugandans to start with, or every type of rabbits is okay?
We have local rabbits and I would say exotic rabbits. Now, for commercial business, we recommend people to do exotic rabbits. And among the common ones we have here, there are very many types, but the common ones, we have chinchilla, we have the Flemish giant, and we have New Zealand white. Any of those can do wonders for you.
Okay, interesting. How would you encourage someone to start that laboratory?
Like I said, to start a rabbitry, you don't need a lot of money. All you need is 3 rabbits, that's the female ones, and 1 male ones. Why do we start small? So that you can, I would say, have the experience. You know, during experience, there are so many losses. So when you have only few, at least you will have very few losses. So when you start with only 3, as I've said, the 3 every 2 months will be giving 20. By the end of 6 months, you have over 120 rabbits. And remember, all these rabbits that have been born are also growing. Every 4 months, they're also becoming mature. So that means within a very short time, you will be having so many rabbits with you, and you will have already gotten enough experience to take care of them.
Interesting. Is there a market for the rabbits? Or I'm going to rear them and then start looking for the market, promote them, speak ABCD about them. Where is the market in as far as Uganda is concerned?
There is market for rabbits, but the market is selective. I would say it is favoring the rich, because they will tell you, we want 5,000 rabbits. Can a villager in the village have 5,000 rabbits? It's not easy. So I encourage people to form groups. Every district, make sure you have a rabbit group, because very soon we shall beat and make sure we all enter into the market. So if we have a group in a district that is rearing rabbits, it's easier if we get a customer who says, I want 5,000 rabbits. We shall just start saying by saying, each district, please provide 5,000 rabbits per week, in a different week. So this week, we shall say this district. The other week, another district. The other week, another district. If we all did that, I think the whole Uganda would end up becoming rich out of rabbit.
Okay, interesting. We have had what causes, what are the challenges in this business? What are some of those that you say you should be cautioned of ABCD? Have
The
you made some?
challenges we have in this business, like I've said, one of them is market. And the only solution for market is all of us should form WhatsApp groups whereby you are able to post the number of rabbits, and therefore whoever is in need of the rabbits can be able to pick from you or get a collection center and we get those rabbits. So that one we can solve it. Then the second challenge are diseases. Whenever you go for a seminar, they will tell you rabbits don't fall sick, rabbits don't have diseases. The rabbits is the easiest thing to take care of, but rabbits can only do you good if you are very clean. And you know, most people don't take cleanliness as a key. So if you are not clean, you are going to have so many challenges with rabbit business, because mostly this urine affects them so much, so they end up getting so many infections because of that. So if you are clean, you will be fine. And at the same time, when it comes to diseases, most of our veterinary doctors, I would say, are not well conversant with rabbit diseases. So you will have your rabbit sick and you have no doctor to take care of you. So those are some of the challenges. And then the information. There are very few seminars about rabbit rearing, and we need the information. Every time you attend a seminar, you benefit a lot. You feel like you have just had it for the first time, yet you have been hearing about it.
Okay. Do we have this semester conferences or seminars more often, or they are just prepared and then you invite people?
Most of those seminars are prepared and then you invite people, but they are not enough. There are few.
Let's look at the format of housing. Do I need just to establish a structure there and I put them, or there is some standard format or that I need to consider when I'm establishing housing for the rabbits?
Yeah, when you're making a rabbit house, you need mesh, wire mesh, and then timber. Actually, timber is the most expensive in making a rabbit house. Then you make it in the dimensions. There are so many dimensions. You can make it at 2 by 2. That is a box of 2 by 2. 2 horizontal, 2 width, and 2 height. That is 2 by 2. Or you can make it 2 by 2.5 by 2.5. Others make it 3 meters by 3 feet, 3 feet by 2. So whichever dimension you want, you will still arrive.
Okay. I've more often had the farmers of who rear rabbits complain of inadequate rabbit feeds. Where do we get these feeds? Or they're also feeding from the same food that we feed on?
Actually, would say rabbits are the easiest to rear. Why? You can just feed them on grass and they grow.
Just grass?
Grass. But
why are they complaining of inadequate
when it
feed?
comes to commercial, you cannot have enough grass. So that means you need something to supplement.
I can get one truck of grass and I feed it.
It's not possible. It's not possible. So when it comes to commercial, we use pellets. So pellets can be made from maize bran and then other mixtures, or they can also be made from grass itself. You can make pellets out of them. So we use pellets to take care of our rabbits, and then we keep giving them green vegetables. Those are like cabbages, grass itself, plus other things.
Okay. Interesting. I think you, the listener who is interested in starting a laboratory, you've heard from the expert of rabbit rearing, Madame Tasma. Let me cross to Engineer Julius. Minute Farms Limited. You are still explaining to me what it is about, that it is a Dutch word meaning crowd. What is that crowd about?
Yes, thank you very much again, dear moderator and our dear listeners. So, Minute Farms, and also in relation to today's theme of harnessing agricultural resources for improved production or increased production, is a Dutch word that means crowd, and it picks from a cooperative model that ensures mobilization, organization, and empowering of goat farmers. The framers of this organization were looking at having crowd goat farms across the globe. As Madame Tasma here was presenting, she was highlighting the issue of sustainability, or ensuring that you can sustain the market. It is the same with the goat value chain. Apparently, the production being around 25 million goats for the context of Uganda, and yet we need over 50 million goats for both regional and national markets for us to be able to supply. So Meat Farms comes in with strategies to ensure that we can increase production, but increasing production in a sense that we are also ensuring quality and standards, because most of the challenges are around farmers being rudimentary, and yet we want to ensure that even if you have your 20 goats, they can be able to meet, for instance, export market. So our products and services are aimed at improving standards and the numbers for basically improved incomes for the farmers. And the first looks at people who do not have land, for instance, and or if they have land and they do not have the time and the technical expertise, and that is the goat banking. It sounds a new term, but it is an interesting product where we rear one.
I thought you take goats to the bank. when I heard of goat banking, I was about to ask you, do you take these goats to the bank and they give you money?
Sure, that is interesting. So you can take it in that context, but it is an investment model where we realize that most youth or women or people generally have limited access to farmable land. And so you may earn your money here and there, but you may not buy land at the same time. Own goats, it is quite an investment that needs quite a lot of money. So we realized that we have goats at our farms. And one farmer out there, or prospective farmer, could want to own a goat, and the technical people or the professional people at Me Farms take care of this goat. So what we do then is to profile 2 to 3 month pregnant goats that are at our farm, and what the investor does, they pay to own this goat. They also pay for the management costs and the insurance for this goat, and at the end of the investment period, the pilot took 1 year and it ended. At the end of the investment period, you are able to recover either cash or animals. And what does it take to recover cash? So the investment amount per goat is 2 million Uganda shillings.
2 million.
And of course, this goat that is being invested in is not a local breed. They are cross breeds of Boer and Savannah.
Boer and Savannah.
Yeah, these are exotic goats that we import from South Africa. Yeah, so it is about 87.5 cross level, and so it has efficacy of producing 2 or 3, about 90%, and the maturity gains are also high. At 8 months, the goat is already having market weight, or it can easily mate, or it can be sold going forward. So what happens is this 2 million, it is cost of the goat. It also has the cost of feeds, cost of veterinary services, and cost of insurance, that in case it dies or it is stolen, the investor is not at a loss. So it is incumbent on us, the farm, to ensure that we are taking good care of this goat. And what is the take home for the investor at the end of the year? So at the end of the year, the investor takes home 30% return on investment. That is the 2 million plus 600,000. And in case you want to recover animals, you take the mother goat and the offsprings. There are those who do goat banking as they prepare their pieces of land to be able to start farms. So those ones, we encourage them to recover, for instance, animals, because they can then take goats that have multiplied from our farm to their farms. And so during this 1 year period, what is our theory of change? So this 1 year investment period, you are given leeway as an investor to come and inspect your animals, physically interact with them, but in the process, we also have thematic discussions on how you can go and start. So basically, teachings and trainings. So when you come to inspect your goat, you are killing two stones. I mean, one bird with okay, you are killing two birds with one stone. Yeah, so you are coming to inspect your investment, but at the end of it, you are also learning about goat farming. So the theory of change is, as I said in the beginning, that we want to increase numbers, is to see that this venture is profitable through us. Then you can replicate and go and start your own farm with the right breeds, the right practices, and the right methods going forward. And that is the goat banking, which is one of our flagship programs.
How about goat import and export management?
Yes.
How do you manage that?
So we have a running permit, and we have been importing hybrids, improved breeds of boas and savannas, and then those for milk. That is the Sanin.
The savannah or the boas?
No, the boas and savannas are meat breeds. There are also other meat breeds like the red Kalaharis. And for milk, we basically have Sanen, Toggenburg, those are, and Alpine. Those are basically for milk production, and you can't do them for meat. So we have brought these animals in country here to help improve and increase productivity, because they have traits of maturing very fast. On our organic feed here, a natural feed that we have, and they are also very proficient, because they will produce 2 or 3 offsprings depending on how you feed them, if you're following the feeding schedules. And also at the end of the day, they grow faster, so they present a business sense in a way that when you start with crossbreeds or improved breeds, you will have a niche in the numbers, as opposed to our local breeds, which will take 2 to 3 years to basically gain 30 kilograms, and at the end of it all, you are selling such a goat at 200, 250 to be able to get your money. So for us, in our model, we promote all our local breeds here, but even those that are imported. And the business is now in the crossing, when you cross the exotics with our own locals here, because our locals also have an advantage that they are resistant. So we want to borrow traits of resistance to diseases, but also traits of faster maturity from the exotic breeds, and we balance in between to make money. Yes.
Are we not interfering with the breeding of the other cross? Because if I'm bringing them for meat, and I've crossed to the local ones, am I not reducing on the amount of meat that I'm going to get?
Not really, because when you cross, you do not change the genetics of the local breeds. You also do not change the genetics of the imported breed. What you are doing here is to have an offspring that has traits from both ends without affecting the genetics of whatever you are crossing, and whatever breeding strategies are aimed at having a balance between the two.
In a minute, can we look at the goat breeding?
Yes.
Shortly, just if you may use some seconds, and you take us through what you mean by goat breeding.
So goat breeding is basically production, like mating. It is a mating process. But the mating process is dictated by you, the goal. If you have a goal of producing, for instance, meat breeds, you know that the best meat breeds in goats, we have Boers, Savannahs, and Red Kalaharis. And for our local breeds here, we have the Mubende, the one that is black, or black and white, with black patches and white patches. So the goal here, the breeding goal, if it is for meat, then it would be ideal for you to have a Boer goat, the back, crossing with the local of Mubende, and that is at the end of the day, you would get, if you use the pure breed that we import from South Africa, you would get 50% offsprings. And if you cross the 50% with a pure breed again, you will get 75% as an offspring from the crossing. But here, what you have to take care of is to ensure that you are not using similar backs or male goats to cross with their offsprings, and that is called inbreeding. You have to get a distant back that you are going to use to cross with the offsprings to avoid tendencies of inbreeding. So at the end of it all, you'll find you have a defined breeding goal. Most times we have gone to farms. We have about 148 farms across the country that are working within our model. 148.
148.
Yeah, farms that are working within our model of the crowd goat farming, and as I said, the cooperative model aspect. So these are working towards different breeding goals. There are those that are targeting to produce goat's milk and add value along that. There are those that are targeting to have goat meat and increase the meat, and there are those that are basically breeding, as they sell. For them, where they get money is to sell breeding stock or to new farmers or prospective farmers.
Okay.
Yes.
Looking at artificial insemination, which is a powerful tool that I believe that can allow breeders to flexibility to increase the rate of genetic improvement in their herds. Do you also encourage artificial insemination?
Thank you so much for this wonderful question. Unlike in other enterprises, looking at the pigs, looking at the cows, the efficacy has been really very good. And for goats, the efficacy in artificial insemination and embryo transfer has not been very successful. Apparently, our research team, we have a robust research team that works towards products that are friendly to the smallholder farmer. So we are working with a renowned doctor in Kamuli, Dr. Nadiope, to have artificial insemination rolled out, because you'll realize some of these improved goat breeds, we shall buy them at about 5 million Uganda shillings each. And yet, if you have your herd and you have this technology of artificial insemination, you can easily inseminate your herd of, for instance, 40 goats with 1 million Uganda shillings if you have this semen. Yes.
Interesting.
So you realize
that is
this
around 180 something.
Yeah. So you realize that would be cheaper compared to having the back. So, and it would help us to achieve in a way. So what we are doing about artificial insemination and embryo transfer, this is work in progress, and we have about 60% success efficacy rate, and we have not wanted to roll out this before we can achieve 100%, but also look at how the animals that have been as a result of artificial insemination or embryo transfer, how have they been, how are they adapting basically to our environment, and how do they perform. So we want to do this when we have concurrent critical evidence about the same, but it is work in progress, and it is really a game changer.
Before we go to goat housing, feeding, and how do you encourage someone to start, what is the organic goat meat packaging and sales, or anyone is welcome to do that? I heard that you do it best, but how are you able to do that?
Yes, so all the things, and I want to encourage all farmers that goat farming is really a paying business. If you looked at 3 pillars, basically look at the breeds that you are investing in and you want to basically have. Look at the management practices, and that is do you have the right herdsmen to take care of the goats, and in this we also have an independent program, the farm workers program, where we train workers, and we are able to give them out to farmers, because we realized there was a gap between herdsmen and farm owners. Most people who are willing to invest in these goats, you realize, have other jobs, and they want to have goat farming as a side business.
Okay.
And if you want to have it as a side business, you need to ensure that you have the right management. So we have a farm workers program for these people, because they resonate with the proprietors in terms of the goals and objective of the farm, and we also supervise them, so they are accountable in a way for any fatalities that can happen at the farm. So that is about management. The other thing,
in seconds,
yes, would be vaccination and managing basically diseases on farm, and then the feeding. The feeds.
We are used to
grass.
our local goats, which are just put in the bush and they start feeding by themselves. Now we are having imported goats. Do we also put them on the bush, or they eat specific feeds?
So these goats are not any way different from our own goats here. Only
They
that
also eat grass?
Exactly.
Oh,
Only
sure.
that they are highly susceptible to diseases. So as you start your farm, you have to ensure that hygiene basically is very critical. But
hygiene at home or in the bush?
Hygiene in the goat pens where they sleep.
Okay.
But also in terms of planting the pastures, there are specific pastures that we want to encourage, even for our local breeds here. Because from research, you realize you can have a goat that is of our local type that weighs about 60 kilograms.
True that.
But from practice, some farms you will not achieve this because of the feeding. So even with our local goats, there is need for a pasture strategy that has the right nutrition in terms of this normal grass that we plant, the alfalfa, the Chloris Guyana, the elephant grass, and the napier. So it is just the art of mixing this feed and availing it to the animals to have a balanced diet, so that they can be able to gain the necessary weights in the specified period of time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
98 FM, UBC Radio. We're broadcasting live on other radio stations, that is Butebo, which you can get us on 96.9 FM in Bale, and 98.4 FM in Soroti, 95.5 FM in Arua, and we're also live and clear on West Nile FM, That is on 98 FM. We're also live and clear on Magic 100 FM. And this is UBC Red on 98 FM in Kampala, 97.4 FM in Arua, and 99.4 FM in Lida. We are talking about harnessing agricultural resources for increased production, and we have in the studios Stella Akwadi Tasma is the expert in rabbit rearing, and also Engineer Birungi Julius, Operations Director from Menit
Farms, yeah.
Dutch.
You can call it for short.
Me Farms,
Yes.
Limited. It is interesting that you are part of UBC from the start, but you reach us on N776 511 426 in case you want to ask one of our guests what you've heard from our discussions. That is the number to call, 776 511 426, and you'll be part of this conversation. I'm going for a very short break, and when I come, I will take some of the calls as we continue with our discussion. And later on, in the second hour, we're going to look at agriculture in the broad perspective. This is UBC Inspiring Uganda.
There is no pretending about the effect of this thing. There's no pretending about it. Nobody should. It's a problem.
It's balanced.
This is not the stage at which you start planning to tax a commodity like coffee, especially from down there.
It's intellectually engaging.
The Constitution provides that the land must be registered under the customer tenure system, which is one of those that's recognized by the Constitution.
Ground Zero Season 2, live and syndicated on your public and national broadcaster, UBC, Inspiring Uganda.
Tune in to Ground Zero on UBC Radio. We discuss politics.
The money we collect as taxes in the country, we lose it in corruption.
Economics.
The four economic sectors where there are jobs and wealth are commercial agriculture, industries, services, and ICT.
Education.
The classes which will not need an abridged curriculum are the entry-level classes of P1, Senior 1, and Senior 5.
Culture and religion. And other areas of human interest. Ground Zero every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on UBC Radio. Don't miss.
Welcome back. Ground Zero Season 2 continues.
Welcome back from that very short break. Harnessing agricultural resources for increased production. We are looking on the means how best we can benefit from this industry of agriculture, that which is considered to be the backbone of Uganda's economy. In the studios of UBC, I have Stella Kwadi Tasma is the expert in rabbit rearing, and also Engineer Julius Birungi is the operations director, Men Farms Limited. Ampaire Amon Utega is my name, and we're broadcasting live on 98 FM in Kampala, 97.4 FM in Arua, and 99.4 FM in Nerera. And we're also live on Butebo Radio, which you can get us on 96.9 FM in Bale, 98.4 FM in Soroti, and 95.5 FM in Arua. We're also live and clear on West Nile FM on 98 FM, and also live and clear on Magic 100 FM. And we're also streaming live on YouTube at UBC Ground Zero, and you'll be part of this very important conversation. 776 511 426 is the number that you reach us on, and share your ideas on what you think needs to be done in order to improve this sector of agriculture. You are still telling me, Julius,
Yes.
about what is the abbreviation? Me Farms. Interesting. I told us about goat breeding, goat import and export management, goat banking, and organic goat meat packaging. We had gone to the other sector on how best we can feed. We told us that they also feed on grass. savannah. Is that true?
Yes, that's true.
Let's look at the housing.
Yes, so
Do they also sleep outside like our local goats?
thank you so much again. So these goats require basic housing, but again, if you want to look at the commercial aspect of this business, then you would want to basically have options earning from, for instance, demonstration. So you want to have something that is technically acceptable in terms of infrastructure. So there is a basic housing that is just setting up some aerated structure, and it is on ground. There are also those structures that we raise basically to manage hygiene and also avoid any ammonia bounce back that normally causes cough and respiratory infections to these animals. So you have to strike a balance depending on the available resources that you have at hand. If you have 20 million to start this business, then you would not be advised, for instance, to start with a raised structure, because it would take about, for 100 goats, it would take about 8 millions or so, depending on the region and the availability of the materials. And yet the structure on ground would maybe take half of that. And so depending on the resources, then it dictates what type of infrastructure you need to set up, also considering your goal. You also don't want to have very high-end breeds exposed to diseases by just having. You can't invest your 5 million in a goat and you are leaving it out to just roam around and get access to these diseases. So it is basically this kind of consultation that then we offer in sense of business planning, looking at what the farmer has and how they want to start, so we can guide along the way.
Okay, interesting. Networking, knowledge bank sharing. Do you only give this information to your customers, or if anyone came is open, you would welcome them with open hands?
Thank you so much. So we have two categories, recognizing that we are also a profit-making company. So we have pro bono services and open source information. This is available on our website. When you go under resources, the website is www.menitfarms.com. So when you go under resources, there is quite a wide range of information on very many aspects of goat farming, breeds, the housing options, the management. All these are there. But also on a daily basis, on our social media platforms, we do share thematic areas on goat farming that are free and accessible and from experience of our farm. We also have, as a free service, open source when you come to us, to our office. Our office is in Chisubi on Entebbe Road. We also have regional offices in Mitiana, Kalangalo, and also in Budo, where we have a demo farm. So we have open source, but also we have paid for services. For instance, if you want us to come and give you dedicated support at your goat farm, so that is paid for. If you want to be part of the network where you are given daily farm updates about your farm, then you also have to pay a subscription fee. That is one of, it is not annual, you pay it once and you are able to become a partner or an agent, and we can extend most of our services and products to you in whatever region you are, because you realize that all these 148 farms I was talking about, they are scattered across the country. There are also those that are part of this network and they are not in Uganda. we have in Zambia, we have in Kenya, and Tanzania. All these are working through our model. So that is the nature of both free services, but also those that are paid for.
Considering the environment, the climate, and the weather changes in Uganda and South Africa seem to be different, and we're importing these goats from South Africa. Don't you think that we are going to be fearing to meet these changes in case we bring these goats in Uganda? What are the challenges that you have so far met in that regard?
Thank you so much. So before we bring in goats, we have a fully fledged animal health department also that works with the ministry. There is an acclimatization program that happens, but also that when you are importing, you do not import mature animals. You import animals that are young and can easily adapt to new environments such as ours here. That is why even in Uganda, these goats are able to survive in all the different regions down on ground. So there is an acclimatization program, and additionally, the animals, even when you are starting your own farm, it is not encouraged that you go and buy animals that are of age. You have to buy animals that are young and can easily acclimatize to the climatic conditions of your area.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Engineer Birungi. Tasma, before I cross to the other guest, do you have the market for the rabbits? Who are your customers in this regard?
Yeah, we said the market is there.
Who are your customers?
And most of our customers, if we are, let's say, deep up-country towns, most of our customers are ordinary people. So these people, like those ones who roast on the streets, they have started buying rabbits and roasting on the streets. We have customers who get rabbits and make sausages out of them. So all of those are customers. Then we have also these ones who come and buy in bulk to go and supply big hotels.
Okay. What is needed for this venture to propel Uganda to a middle income status?
I would say maybe now you're asking for challenges.
What needs to be done to promote this industry that we can promote Uganda to the middle income status?
I would say one of the major things there is like training, giving people more information, and then like teaching people how to do value addition.
Interesting.
Like here as TASMA, we have already done some value addition on rabbit urine. We have manufactured TASMA organic fertilizer, and which is one of the most unique organic fertilizers. So here when we look at organic fertilizers, there are so many advantages of organic fertilizers. So an organic fertilizer is something, I would say, that is going to bring back the fertility of your soil. So it has the things that are capable of making your soil natural again. Organic fertilizers make your plants healthier and even the environment healthier, and you yourself, you do not get any hazard out of using an organic fertilizer. So with this rabbit, we have called it TASMA, rabbit urine organic fertilizer, you are able to maintain the ecosystem. So when we talk of the ecosystem, we are talking about like things like the nitrogen cycle. So nitrogen cycle, like we have nitrogen in the air, and this nitrogen is very useful in the plants. It's the one that encourages the plants to grow. But when we use synthetic fertilizers, those are like NPK, the ones that just have manufactured nitrogen, we destroy most of this ecosystem. So with this nitrogen cycle, we have nitrogen in the air turned into ammonia, by the nitrogen fixing bacteria. Then from ammonia, we have the nitrogen fixing bacteria turn ammonia into nitrites. Then the nitrites, still the nitrogen fixing bacteria, turn these nitrites into nitrates, which are now ready for utilization by the plants. And then some of the excess nitrogen or nitrates can be sent back into the air. So when we use, I would say, these organic fertilizers, or when we do value addition into rabbit urine, we are going to create more jobs, more money. I would say the income for the local person can be increased. So as Tasma Organic Fertilizer, we are already having so many branches in Uganda. Okay. We have a branch in Soroti. We have one in Kumi, one in Hoima, one in Palisa, and the other one in Kampala. These ones are helping people to use this organic fertilizer, and at the same time, we are training people how to make their own fertilizer out of rabbit urine.
Perhaps in the later we're going to talk about the effects and the good thing in fertilizers. But we've been joined by Augusta Tumwine, is the agribusiness consultant. Most welcome to UBC Ground Zero.
Thank you.
What is about agribusiness consultants before we go far?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. My name is Augusta Tumwine, and I'm basically an agribusiness consultant. Excuse me. In agribusiness, I do this work under the umbrella of Oyster Agro Solutions. We basically provide training, research and evaluations in the agricultural sector, and then strategic planning, which takes in issues to do with the agricultural project designing. Then we do profitability analysis, advisory services in basically horticulture and the piggery.
Interesting. Harnessing agricultural resources for increased production. How can Ugandans engage themselves in agriculture, not for domestic consumption, but rather for commercial?
First of all, one of the basic factors that need to be looked at is skilling Ugandans in agriculture itself. Because we've been seeing agriculture as, as a thing we are created to do. Because most Ugandans grew up in agricultural backgrounds, and therefore, and it is more of a survival kind of activity, not something to look at for development or even for future kind of outlooks. But then you find that we take to be, sometimes it is even a punishment. For example, you find that when a child makes a mistake, maybe in a home or at school, is instead given a hoe or a slasher to go and clear some part of maybe a garden as a form of punishment. Now, if we are to make it look commercially viable, then we must be able to seek knowledge and skills all the time, and non-stopping or incessantly. Now, you discover that actually what is making agriculture lag behind, we know that in most cases we claim that it's the backbone of our economy. But then when you look at the share of the GDP it contributes to, you discover that actually it is not the backbone. It is instead supposed to be the backbone. True, it employs majority of the people, that's Ugandans. But then we discover that the share on the GDP is not necessarily the highest. Now, what contributes to the highest share on the GDP is actually the backbone. That's what I presume. However, we are aware that it's supposed to be the backbone. Now, but then you discover that without enough skills, without having skilled farmers, highly skilled farmers, one, we forget about the quality of the products from the agricultural sector. Now, secondly, we must forget about the quantity, that is the productivity. Now, once we forget about the productivity, then it means also the output, the product itself, will be low. Low of low quality. Now, if we are to make it a viable sector for the economy, then we must prioritize skilling the farmers, skilling even the children who are born in farming communities, if not the whole country. But instead, you discover that when you look at the curriculum of Uganda, agriculture is optional. Even in communities where farming is actually the major economy, they say in the rural areas. Now, how do you make someone from a farming community make agriculture optional? Mm-hmm. Someone from a farming family make agriculture optional. And because it is being made, it is looked at as a punishment. Actually, even someone from a farming family will decide not to opt for agriculture because it is a punishment. In some cases.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where are some of the areas in agriculture with some good money that a farmer listening to us right now may start and be able to earn in the next season?
Without thinking so much, that is agriculture.
In which areas?
Sorry, horticulture rather. I meant horticulture. That's basically vegetable production. You take in the example of tomatoes. You take in the example of green pepper. The example of eggplants. You discover that actually the investment that is required, depending on the scale you choose, is not so high. Mm. The time it takes to yield is not very long. And the hustle is relatively not, as in you don't have to sweat and like get handkerchief and cut whatever your sweat all the time when you are like dealing with eggplants, for example. Now, if you are to deal in horticulture, especially vegetables, you must be sure of two things. Of course, one is kind of not so scaring, the market. When you consider the context of Uganda, the market for horticulture products, especially vegetables, is really not scaring. But there is one threat: water. Now, we are very sure that even if maybe someone did dodo, which grows within 2 weeks, or jobio, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, someone harvests. But in reality, they need water in sufficiency. Now, that's a threat in most parts of Uganda, especially during this period. The country has been hit by a serious dry spell.
The vegetables you're telling us about, they form less than 10% of our agricultural products. Of the as we have the food crops, the cassava, sweet potatoes, millet, sorghum, maize, beans, groundnuts, and many others, which represent the 60% of our agricultural GDP. Livestock 19%, and export crops we have coffee, cotton, tea, and tobacco, which form the 12%. Are you telling Ugandans to divert from what makes 60% or 12% to turn to that which is 10% less?
Yeah, it is very possible. Sometimes the demand may be determined by the supply, but also the supply may determine by the supply may determine rather the demand may determine the supply.
Because I was looking at the two. Someone who has just put cassava there. I just need to dig, put cassava stems and leave there. That which I needed to be watering more often. I need fertilizers. They need more time and more attention.
Yeah, if you are to earn properly from cassava, you really need also to labor.
But the
Because-
labor is different from that of tomatoes, which
true.
you are encouraging me
True.
to take.
I'm coming to you.
Mm.
Now, when you consider the gestation period for cassava and the gestation period for maybe someone who goes for eggplants, by using the same diameters, the same size of land, you plant your plants of cassava. Then I plant the eggplants. I can assure you, by the time you harvest the cassava, the money I have earned from the eggplants will have multiply even more than 30 times the money you can harvest in the cassava in the same piece or in the same size of land. Yes. That's what we are trying to look at.
I believe that you're also a farmer. Do you also believe, like Tumwine, that vegetables are more in the market than the food crops, and you should encourage Ugandans to opt for the vegetables instead if they want to make money?
Uganda is a country that does mixed farming, and we shall not stop them from that, because mixed farming helps somebody have enough food. So you can have vegetables, they also have their purpose, you have the cash crops, so you need the mixed farming. You cannot go only for vegetables. Only that for him is looking at the business aspect. When we look at the business aspect, we are now talking about specialization. So you can specialize in only vegetables.
Interesting. Make money, Julius.
Yes.
Which area would you go for, apart from goats that you told us about?
Of course. Speaking to what my colleague was raising, I think the other factor to consider, of course, when you are joining any farming venture, is the question of how is it to start. For instance, you will read some of these seeds for tomatoes and eggplants. You'll find is about, and it is good help a small home be able to start agriculture as a venture, so they can integrate and going forward advance to these other national crops that are for export. The major thing here is to initiate them into the agriculture so that they appreciate. So you realize also the land required for instance cassava or coffee is quite a little bit big chunk of land, minimally maybe 5 acres or 10 acres. Yet we know our problem that we have limited farmable land. Maybe an acre, someone has an acre, so you wouldn't advise such a person to go into coffee or something because they would take long to. But these high value crops, maybe like the vegetables, could act as initiators into the agribusiness. Then of course from the money that is generated here, you can now advance and buy land and do the national crops, but do these as well as in a mixed model.
Interesting. I think I would agree with you and Tumwine, because going to our Ugandan airport, you would realize that fruits and vegetables are more exported than cassava and sweet potatoes. That means for those who would love to make money, perhaps you can go into vegetables. Tumwine, how big can we attract farmers to go into commercial production than Chida Chonka, as President Museveni has always put it?
Yeah, one thing, there is, as I told you, in Uganda, the basic limitation is lack of knowledge, low levels of awareness. As she was talking about rabbits, I was listening closely, and she was trying to do some profitability analysis. And imagine if you've always looked at the rabbits, as she said, you look at them as pets. Without the information that she has really it's very hard for you to go into rabbit. The same way with all other commercial crops, let's say, or commercial ventures in agriculture, away from the traditional ones, you discover that people lack awareness. But also, there is also an issue of attitude. Our people, I don't know whether it's our people or it's human generally, we fear change. Like going from the known to the unknown. It's always fear. Now, we must find avenues of interesting our farmers to dare the unknowns, which is not supposed to be done by one person, maybe Julius, but it should be a collective effort, especially taking in the responsibility of our leaders. Our leaders should interest people to adopt new technologies. Because non-adoption of new technologies is another impediment to going commercial. Because you cannot go commercial. And for example, if you are this person who believes that if you need water, then you must pray to God to bring rain, and all you have to do is concentrate on prayer, not think about buying a pump, even if there is a water source nearby. You know, it may take some time to get such person actually appreciate that new technology can actually work as good as praying to God, or maybe even, I don't know whether I should say it, even better. Why? Because the water source is nearby and you are sure of the water because the water is there.
Okay.
But what is to bring the water into the garden. Now, instead of kneeling down and pray, just get the water pump the water to the garden.
But if I don't have that capacity to buy a pump, because I believe not everyone has or the capacity to afford to buy.
Yeah, that's why I say that
would I not be on my knees and seek the intervention of God?
That's why I say that this shouldn't be a one stakeholder's job. It should be a kind of mighty stakeholder job.
Okay.
Whereby the development partners who have the capacity should come in, the experts who have the knowledge should come in, government itself. Nowadays there is what they call the micro irrigation program. The government also can come in, and then the financial institutions should also come in, and maybe they are supported in one way or the other to facilitate the farmers to acquire credit.
All right.
Yeah.
This is UBC. We're broadcasting live on 98 FM. We're also live and clear on our sister radio stations, UBC Butebo, UBC Western Nile, Magic 100 FM, and we're streaming live on YouTube, UBC Ground Zero. UBC takes a very short break, and we're coming back in a bit. And you can also engage us on 776-511-426 and also contribute to this edition of Ground Zero.
This is Ground Zero Season 2. Stay tuned. We shall be right back.
Tune in to Ground Zero on UBC Radio. We discuss politics.
The money we collect as taxes in the country, we lose it in corruption.
Economics.
The four economic sectors where their jobs and wealth are: commercial agriculture, industries, services, and ICT.
Education.
The classes which will not need an abridged curriculum are the entry-level classes of P1, Senior 1, and Senior 5.
Culture and religion. And other areas of human interest. Ground Zero every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on UBC Radio. Don't miss.
Welcome back. Ground Zero Season 2 continues.
Welcome back from that very short break. This is UBC Ground Zero. 776 is the 776-511-426. The number is 776-511-426 is the one that you can call and share your opinions on how best we can harness agricultural resources for increased production in Uganda. 776-511-426. UBC. UBC. Hello, you're live. Call us again on 776-511-426. We shall be able to get your opinions on this very important edition of Ground Zero. Tumwine, of recent past and more often, Kenya has always rejected our agricultural products that they are of low quality. They are not of that standard they wish to import. Where does this leave our industry and this sector of agriculture, and what lessons do we pick from that incident? Tumwine?
It's not only Kenya. It's the whole world.
They have been rejecting our products?
Yes, even in Europe. The demand is so high, but our quality is poor.
Where is the problem?
The problem is on skills. Farmers who are producing these products are not skilled enough. Because if you are skilled enough, then you are able to produce high quality products. Secondly, you are able to determine even the quality itself. But here we have farmers who don't know is that I've brought tomato, but cannot tell what quality of tomato fruits I've produced. Apart from the skin itself, once the skin is smooth and it's red enough, a farmer is like, yeah, these are high quality tomatoes. But inside there is something that someone else elsewhere who is more technical.
But you as the exporter who knows the market where you are taking these products, why don't you be so much selective and pay attention to the products that you are sending to the market? Is it so much blame to the farmer?
Yes.
Because I've done my part. My part is to cultivate and harvest and send to you. Or sometimes these people come to our gardens. So do we all blame it to the farmer?
Now, if the farmer had known the quality to produce and pays attention to the quality, there's no need actually of the exporter be paying too much attention to the product, because after all the product is of high quality. But now, if we attack the blame to the exporter, we again go back to the skills. What kind of exporters are we registering? Are they skilled enough? Do they know how to select? And selecting from what? Because at the end of the day, we are looking at this farmer. The exporters are fewer than the farmers. If we are to help the exporter be able to be selective, then how many farmers actually are going to be left out? Suppose the exporter decides to say, no, I'm not taking out of 100 kilograms, I'm taking only 10. Who has made more losses? I think the farmer. And yet, had been the farmer been skilled enough to produce high quality, probably the exporter would have selected 90% and the farmer makes a loss of only 10. So it should begin with the farmer. Then the exporter will find what they want automatically.
I'm looking at my uncle deep in the village in Nyamarebe, who doesn't know what Europeans want, because he has never even stepped in Kampala. If he does not know the products or the quality of the products that Kampalanians or the people of Kampala want, how would he know the standard of the Europeans?
Now, at one point I visited people who are like your uncle in Nyamarebe. And I offer a training free of charge. And then someone who is responsible for mobilization does their best. They move around with megaphones and so on, trying to call people. But one message that, as long as they miss one message, one word on the megaphone, come, there eats, there's transport refund, you will not see people. Now, they will only come if there is transport refund promised on the megaphone. Now, if your uncle does not come to the training, which has been offered to him free of charge, just because there is no transport refund for him, who is to blame really?
Okay. 776-511-426 is the number you can call and share your opinions. UBC?
Thank you for the deliberations.
Most welcome.
I just wanted to ask, what are the benefits of Tasma organic fertilizer?
Come again?
what are the benefits?
Mm.
Or I think the lady talked about Tasma organic fertilizer.
Mm.
And why should we use organic fertilizers instead of inorganic? What is the difference?
Inorganic and organic.
Yes.
Your name and where you're calling us from?
My name is Lynn. I'm calling from Tinda.
Interesting. Thank you for being part of UBC Ground Zero.
Thank you.
776-511-426 is the number that can call, and you ask any questions in regard to our topic today, harnessing agricultural resources for increased production. UBC? UBC? You can call us again on 776-511-426. Gentlemen,
yes.
I would love to change my gears to another important but so much sensitive. Before, maybe it is you can first answer Lynette from Ntinda. Julius, difference between organic and inorganic.
Thank you so much. I think something organic is something that comes from the plants and the animals themselves without any addition of synthetic material.
Tasma, you are more into fertilizers.
Yes.
Would Lynette be advised to use inorganic or organic? What is the difference between the two, and which is good for her and someone else who is listening to this program?
Yeah, organic fertilizers, these are fertilizers that are got from materials that are got naturally from the environment. Yet when we go to inorganic, these are synthetically manufactured from the factory. So usually when we talk of inorganic fertilizer, we usually talk of NPK. What does NPK stand for? It stands for nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. But now, sometimes we have a disadvantage of these inorganic fertilizers. They easily dissolve into water and therefore cause problems into the environment. But when we look at organic fertilizers, these ones come from natural things. Therefore, there are no side effects on them, and when you use them, they help in very many ways. Now, like organic fertilizers, if you use it, it brings back the fertility of your land. How does it do that? That means it encourages the existence of the ecosystem. So it encourages the normal flora, the useful bacteria which are supposed to be on the land to grow. And when they grow, they are the ones that cause the fertility in the land. So that's one of the benefits of organic fertilizer. So as the manufacturers of Tasma organic fertilizers, we have seen that when we use this fertilizer, it has so many benefits, mostly when it is coming from a mixture of rabbit urine. This fertilizer expels the insects. We have these insects which are almost of the size of a mosquito. I will call them flies. These flies come and suck fruits. Fruits, we are talking of mangoes, oranges, tomatoes, to mention a few. So after sucking the fruit, they lay their eggs inside that hole they have created after sucking. So after laying the eggs will mature and turn into larvae, and then these larvae become maggots inside there. So when you are going to harvest your mango, you'll find a lot of maggots there. Where did they come from? They came from the fly that sucked the fruit and laid its eggs so that they also benefit from that fruit. So when you use this Tasma organic fertilizer, there is a way it repels those insects, and therefore you will spend less money on other pest control substances, because most of the problems that farmers face are these maggots inside their fruits.
Okay, but before we never had this organic and all those fertilizers that you may mention, and we used to have fresh food. What has happened to this kind of generation which does not have fresh food? If you are to go to the stores and you ask for maize, for example, they will give you maize which is in green color, red color, and what have you not. These chemicals that we use in agriculture, don't they have so much impact on our health?
The chemicals we use in agriculture have a lot of impact on ourselves.
Why then encouraging us to use them?
When I mentioned, I said Tasma organic fertilizer. Organic means naturally occurring things. When we talk of inorganic, these are synthetic, manufactured from the factory. So when you say chemicals, then you are now talking of inorganic, not organic.
Yes.
So inorganic fertilizers are the ones that bring those effects. Actually, when you use inorganic fertilizers, they reduce the strength or the immunity of the fruit. It cannot fight, it cannot protect itself, and therefore its skin is weak and other organisms can attack it. But
If
when
it
you use organic, organic strengthens the skin of the fruit, and therefore when these insects come to suck it, they will also have to struggle first to pierce it to go through.
Julius, I am scared. If this chemical reduces the skin, the capacity and the energy of something that I'm going to eat, where does it leave me who has eaten, the eater?
Yeah, that is why you have a number of cases of cancer patients and things like this, because some of the negative effects are not immediate, but they are long, they take long. Even on the soil, you realize organic products will stay longer in the soil and they will manifest, but these others are taken up through the environment and they affect us. So there is need for us to mobilize our communities where we come from to recover what we are about to lose in terms of keeping the organicity of the foods and the environment, basically.
Tumwine, Julius has joined me and is also scared that we have all these cases of cancer increasing because the eater is being eaten. Do you think we are on a different page, that we still need these inorganic chemicals and fertilizers to increase our production in as far as Uganda is concerned?
Yes.
Should we forget cancer and then we keep on using these chemicals?
Yes, we do need them. Actually, it is very hard to do away with them so easily. Reason, we need to encourage organic. But it's not very easy to switch very fast to the organic and forget about the inorganic completely. For example, we import some agricultural products. I'll give an example of apples. Now, this is the logic behind. If you imported an agricultural product from a country that uses chemicals, now you find that pests that are within that country actually are harder or they are more resistant than the pests that are in a country that does not use the chemicals. Now, when you import some of these fruits, for example, sometimes they come with some few pests within them. Now, as you unpack and do what, some of the pests actually get into our environment and they attack our crops. Now, if you bring this weak organic should I call it a chemical, a pesticide, and then you apply it on that pest which has come from a country, actually from a garden that has been using the synthetic or the chemical pesticide, I can assure you it will be hard for you to deal with that pest, and therefore it will continue torturing you or torturing your crops. Therefore, there are times when you may fail to do away completely with pests using organic pesticides. However, it is not a guarantee that when you use the inorganic ones, actually you get all those problems. It goes back to the skills. There's what we call the MRL, the minimum residual level. Now, for any for any chemical that is made, they tell you that maybe you are supposed to harvest after this number of days from the last application. That means that those days that have been given, or that period that has been given, is a period that has been already researched, and it's enough if given to the crop for the minimum, for the residue, because once the crop doesn't have the, I can say, doesn't have the residues, let me begin with not having the residues, there's no harm it can cause, even if you use the chemical to protect it. But also, even if it has the residues, there is a minimum level that is acceptable, that does not harm your health, even if you consume the crop that was protected using a chemical. Now, once you don't adhere to that period that has been given on a chemical label, the interval that is supposed, we call it the pre-harvest interval. Once you don't adhere to the pre-harvest interval, then you risk to have high residue level in the crop that you are going to harvest, and therefore it will affect the consumer's health. So it goes back to skills. Our farmers are not skilled enough, or if they are, then they don't have enough integrity.
Are we not importing something that we shall not handle? Because I'm used to a life where I would pass someone's garden, you pick a fruit and go eating as you are jazzing with someone that you're walking with. Where does this leave that life of that person in that village who doesn't know that this chemical is so much dangerous to you when you eat this product, when we have spread this chemical onto it for this period of time? I've more often had farmers, especially, I am a cattle keeper, and by the time we'd have, shall I call it immunization of cows and what, it will be told not to milk cows for about 4 days. But due to the commercialized economy that we are all engaged in, you would find someone has injected a cow today in the morning, and in 2 hours later is milking the same cow. Milk is sent to the market, and someone is going to boil it and drink it later.
Yeah.
Is there any way that we can help some ordinary person? Who is to blame? Do we lack that sensitization?
Yeah.
Who needs to sensitize who?
Yes. Actually, in your area where you do cattle farming from, there's an extension officer. But here is the problem. You may find that you don't have even the contact of the extension officer, or you even don't know how he or she looks like. In reality, the extension officer is supposed to present him or herself to you. But in a situation where it does not, because they may not, as they do, you are also responsible for looking for them, because we are aware that at the sub-county or the district, they are there. Just move there, ask for one. You have a right to use them. Actually, you are supposed to use them. Yeah.
Okay, let's look into technology. The world is moving in as far as technology advancement as I don't know to which rate. How best can we tap, or Uganda tap into this opportunity of using technology to promote agriculture? Starting with you, Julius, is there any way an ordinary Ugandan can use this, or it should be left for those people who are in urban centers?
Thank you so much, moderator. So looking at technology, basically we're looking at ICT tools, the basic being the phone. And the last time I was checking, mobile phone penetration by UCC was about 27 million, something above that, which is something good that the penetration is there. So I think it is an issue of mindset change for the communities to adopt the use of technology, because it can help in very many aspects. First, looking at the extension itself, because